It's my little notebook. I take notes of my episodes so I stay on topic. Today I wanted to talk about a couple things before I dived into the music. I want to talk about marketing, data, and history. Marketing, data, and history. So we're going to have kind of a two-part episode, but the first part is going to be about marketing. Welcome to another episode of New York Minute. I'm your host, Nymbus. Today, we're going to be talking about marketing along with some new music. So in 2010, I graduated from Burlington High School. I was in a graduating class of maybe 400, maybe something around there. And from Burlington, like the day after graduation, I took a flight. I had my bags packed and I went to New York. And when I lived in New York, I stayed in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, off of Crown Heights, Utica. And I would always take the 4 train, typically because it was always, express. And I would take that train from the last stop in Brooklyn all the way to 34th Street, Broadway. And typically, I'd have to transfer at Atlantic Station. When I would transfer there, I would go from the 4 and then get the quickest thing smoking to Manhattan. And when I would either take, sometimes I would take the A train, sometimes it would be the D train, or potentially sometimes the 3 train, because I wanted to be as close to my school as possible, and my commute was about an hour. And so during that commute, I would listen to all the music that was coming out during the blog era. So like I said, from 2010 to 2012, I was making that commute, and I went to school full time for marketing and graphic design. During that time period, I was also running a business called Revolutionary Kicks. Revolutionary Kicks was a company I started in high school in my mom's basement, where I basically would customize sneakers for people that I knew at school or people that I met on Facebook, because I was a part of a lot of music groups, especially Kid Cudi. He had a whole music fan page that I was a part of, and I did some Kid Cudi themed sneakers, posted them on that page, and then people started inboxing me, asking me for orders. The same thing happened in high school. I remember my first pair of sneakers, I customized it. I'm gonna try to find it on Facebook and then put it in this video, but I customized them, wore them. There were some random, kind of like pro kids from Urban Outfitters back in the day. Janelle bought them for me for my birthday. And thank you, Janelle. I appreciate you for that, because it sparked the idea of the Revolutionary Kicks brand. So in doing that, basically the idea got sparked around my school. Like, oh my God, Khaled made these sneakers. Oh, they're so cool. And then my boy Caesar in Elgin, shout out Caesar. He has a barbershop in Elgin that he works out of with Abe. And, he's a great friend of mine. Go get a fade if you're in Elgin. Just hit up Caesar. I'll link him in the description. So basically, during that time period, I made sneakers for Caesar, and I made sneakers for Eddie, Eduardo Nieto. Salute, my brother. I made him some really cool Pac-Man sneakers, and then they had like Family Guy on the other side of it, from my understanding. And then with Caesar, I put his name on the side of the sneaker and had like this cool spray can. And he still has these sneakers to this day. And that's my brother. He called me earlier today. We were talking for a little bit, and I was like, thank you for hitting me up, bro. Because, out of all my friends, like from high school, I probably only talked to a handful of them, but we all are friends on Facebook. So it's like every time I don't even have the Facebook app, but every time I go on and log in, it's always ironic who I see first. And it's like the same, some of the same people I went to high school with, but we're all grown. Some of the people got mortgages, multiple kids. Shout out Lucas, man. And Taylor, man. I have so many friends that put me on game. Like Taylor, he put me on to Wiz Khalifa, because I remember we both were sitting in the class, but it was like I'm going so fast, but I'm sorry. I wanted to do some history. So we were sitting in this class, and it was like basically like a computer class, and all we would do would download music. And I downloaded so much music because he put me on the music. I put him on the music, from like New Jabez to a lot of people from back then that were like prevalent in music. Flying Lotus, man, a lot of people. And so, what was that? And so basically, between, you know, high school and having that dream of running my own custom design company, I just set out for that. So I wanted to go to school for marketing and graphic design so I could learn all of the Adobe Master Collection, from CS. I think I was at CS3 maybe, with Photoshop and Illustrator. And then Tumblr was a big deal back then. So with Tumblr, I learned how to code, and then I would design stuff in school and then put it on my Tumblr as like a test. So I remember designing this Man on the Moon. I remember, if y'all remember Man on the Moon 1, Cuddy had this logo where he was standing in like a ring. It was like multiple rings around. And then it was like he was like a part of a planet or a universe. And then on Man on the Moon 1, End of Day, he actually like was a moon man in the graphic design of the album cover. It's a really cool album. My favorite album by him by far. Between that and Man on the Moon 2, because Man on the Moon 2 came out when I went through the toughest winter of my life in New York. I was working in Soho and going to school at the same time, and basically like doing what I do. I had a suitcase full of custom sneakers. My boy, my boy Fly Life. I met this dude, and he was like rapping, customizing, doing custom artwork. He was selling his stuff in the train station, like true grit New Yorker. Even if he wasn't from New York, true grit New Yorker. We get it out the freaking concrete, and somehow, some way, we grow roses out of the concrete, you know? In the South, they get it out the mud. In New York, we get it out the concrete, you heard? So that's why they call it the concrete jungle. That's why I call this show New York Minute, because it happens so fast that it's almost like light speed.